Can you take us through what it would be like for passengers? How would they be physically feeling going into space for a few minutes?
It's a really interesting process because what happens is you climb into the rocket plane, which is slung underneath something almost like a conventional jet aircraft, except it's got two fuselages, two bodies, with the rocket plane in between. So you sit in your rocket plane for the best part of an hour and a half, perhaps a little bit more, while the aircraft climbs to a height of about 16 kilometres. And then the rocket plane is released. There is something like 90 seconds of really quite severe acceleration, and you'll be pushed back in your seats as the rocket motor fires, just as we're seeing there on the screen. And then that rocket motor cuts out, and you've got 3 to 4 minutes of time when the spacecraft, the rocket plane, is in free fall. It's still going upwards. It reaches the top point of its trajectory, which we call the apogee, farthest from the Earth, and then starts falling back. And it's only when the brakes are applied, and that's after about 3 minutes of weightlessness, then you start feeling gravity again. In fact, an even more severe deceleration that brings you back down to aircraft speeds rather than spacecraft speeds, and finally a glided landing at Spaceport America in New Mexico.
You'd have to be pretty adventurous to sign up for something like this. What are the risks that are involved?
Well, Virgin Galactic have worked really hard to minimise the risks. And we know that there are risks attached to this because back in 2014, Virgin Galactic had their one and only accident when one of these space planes, due to human error, actually crashed, losing the life of one of the pilots, and the other one was badly injured. They learned from that. That's one of the reasons why it's only now that we're seeing these commercial flights taking place, because Virgin Galactic has taken very seriously the risk assessments. And I might just add that talking to NASA insiders, one or two of whom I know, they have always been stressing the fact that Virgin Galactic has played very much by the rules and done everything possible to make sure this is a safe environment. And one further footnote on that, Gabriella, is everybody is very keen to avoid an accident in what is a fledgling industry. The space tourism industry is just getting off its feet, off the ground, if I can put it that way, a bit like the aviation industry was more than 100 years ago. And so everybody's very keen to make sure there aren't any accidents.
Yeah, it's good to hear. Around 800 people have already bought tickets, but they're in line, I suppose, so it's not going to happen quickly, is it?
No, they've got a lot of backlog to clear. Taking up to 6 passengers, actually it's probably 5 passengers plus the pilots that will be on board in these commercial flights. It's quite a long backlog to clear. They're talking about 1 flight per month initially, and then perhaps speeding up to more frequent flights down the track.
Some people have paid almost $500,000 to experience this. Looking at the future of space travel, will we get to a point where the prices will come down?
I think that's inevitable, and it's certainly what Richard Branson has stressed when he actually put the price up. It was 200,000 US to start with. If you want to buy a ticket now, it's 450,000 US. It's a lot of money.
Yeah.
But of course, as this becomes a more regular venture, and everyone hopes that it will, then the prices will inevitably come down. Whether they'll come down far enough for folk like you and me, Gabriella, to be able to afford a ticket is another matter altogether. But it'll be great to watch from the sidelines. And one further point, if I may add it, it's kind of wealthy and influential people who are the first tranche of flyers on board these space tourism ventures. And they are the influential people who, having seen how fragile the Earth's atmosphere is, looking at it from above, it's a thin membrane that keeps us alive. Maybe that will bring some more rational intentions in terms of how industry works, for example, to preserve the climate that we desperately need to hold on to.
We'll wait and see. Fred Watson, great to speak with you. Thank you so much.